And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 423 Football Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Bouchard, with Brett Hamilton, as always.
Hello!
Hope you guys have had a good holiday weekend, if you celebrate Easter. Not... If you don't, then hopefully you just had a good weekend.
Just had a good weekend. Maybe got Friday off. That's good.
Watching some baseball. That's always great.
Yeah. It's back in full swing. I'm already, I think, in dead last in our fantasy baseball league.
Fantasy baseball. Keeping the fantasy going year round.
Yeah,
gotta do it.
I don't expect to ever see anything better than last place this year, but it'll be fun no matter what.
It's a long season.
Yeah, I know.
We have 16 weeks of football. We have like 32 weeks of baseball, so it's a whole different ballgame.
That's a pretty big difference.
Yeah. But anyway, we are back again. This time, moving along with our draft prospects episodes. This time we're talking about wide receivers, my personal favorite. I am pumped. I'm ready to talk about wide receivers. This is what I loved. I love watching tape on these guys. It just brings me back to the old days, tossing the pigskin around the old yard.
Yeah, this is Brandon's running back like for me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
running back is my position. Wide receiver is Brandon's position. So
definitely. Before we get into the wide receiver portion of this, we will discuss the news and the rumor and a few rumors that are going on right now, and then we'll jump into the wide receivers, and then stick around to the very end of the episode. That's when we have our huge announcement. We've been talking about it for a while now, but it is finally here. Just make sure you listen to that. If you want to just skip all this and just go straight to the announcement, do that. That's fine. Just make sure you're listening.
We don't recommend that.
No.
Yeah.
We have great content, and we hope you're listening along, but as long as you're listening and subscribing and getting the word out that we're here, we're providing fantasy football information to all listeners. It doesn't matter if you like football or not. Maybe we can get you interested. Anyway,
that's true.
Okay, so the news. Not too much to talk about, just a few signings here and there. Jets go out and sign Thomas Rawls, so they now have a very crowded backfield with Isaiah Crowell, Thomas Rawls, and Bilal Powell. Vikings go out and get Kendall Wright from the Bears. He's going to be playing slot over there. The Browns get Jeff Janis. Finally, Jeff Janis gets the opportunity to actually, maybe be a potential.
I hope so. I like Jeff Janis.
Yeah, I mean, every time he's on the field, he shows something impressive. It's just
he's pretty scrappy. I like that.
Yeah, it's just can he get playing time with Josh Gordon, Jarvis Landry, and Corey Coleman out there. Ben Watson is going to the Saints. He, I can't remember where we had him picked to go. I know we had him written down somewhere. I think we both sent him back to the Ravens, which we were wrong. So he's on the Saints now. And speaking of our...
Oh, yeah, where are we sitting?
Yeah, our giant beer bet. It's over.
It's
over? It's officially over.
Oh, yes. Come on.
I got 10 right. There's still 3 players on our list that have yet to sign: Alfred Morris, Jordan Matthews, and Antonio Gates. But we have 2 of those players going to the same spot, so only 1 point can be made up. So I have 10, you have 13.
Yes.
So
yes.
Brett finally gets a beer bet.
Yep.
you get. Well, I just gave you a beer. That counts.
No, that doesn't.
I had a box of Yingling sitting in the fridge, just sitting there. There were 2 left. I've been drinking on them here and there for the past couple weeks. I take one out, and then Brett says he wants one. I'm like, hey, you can have a beer. I just anticipated that I was going to lose.
Okay, so he gave it to me under the illusion of goodwill, and whenever
makes me sound like a bad person.
Whenever I have paid my beer bet debt, it's been at a local brewery where a beer costs about $5 a pint. So I don't think it's the same.
I don't know. It tastes pretty good either way.
Yeah, you can't be mad at Yingling.
Anyway, congrats on the beer bet win.
I'll tell you what got me off to a good start was the quarterbacks.
Yeah, you really
calling Case Keenum and Kirk Cousins. That's what got me.
And Martellus Bennett retiring. Predicting that was
pretty awesome.
Mind-blowing. One last signing: Geno Smith goes to the Chargers. He will back up Phillip Rivers along with Cardell Jones. Ooh. Not very relevant with in terms of fantasy, but I don't know. He's there. Maybe
he is there.
Maybe starts a few games if Rivers goes down.
Yeah.
Okay, a few rumors. I'm just gonna say what the rumors are. You tell me if they have any weight to them at all. If you think there's any chance that these could be factual. Rob Gronkowski retiring? Question mark.
Yeah. No, this was a rumor that was started right after the Super Bowl, and it still is not resolved. And I don't know how much of it is trying to. I don't know what he's trying to do. Maybe he really is considering retiring, but I think there is some weight behind that he would consider doing that. And then he had the whole thing about possibly being traded if he doesn't commit either way. What do you think about a Rob Gronkowski trade?
It would.
That's weird.
Well, it would make a whole lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
For the Patriots to do that, because they've shown in the past couple years Gronk's been hurt off and on, and they do fine without him.
Yeah.
They haven't really needed him. So.
And Bill Belichick isn't one that, in my mind, puts up with a lot of drama, and I don't think he really likes. I don't think he likes the publicity of that.
Of Gronk.
Of just rumors about that. And he's had a lot of publicity things over the years that I don't think rubs Bill Belichick the right way.
I feel like Bill Belichick is close to the point where he's like, I don't know.
It's not even worth it anymore.
Well, he just with the entire team, just animosity towards I don't know, he just doesn't want to deal with people right now.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird.
Even like mid-season, you heard some rumors about, kind of dynamics with him and Tom Brady and him and Bob Kraft and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
It wouldn't. I think there is some real weight. We're really gonna have to watch what Gronk decides to do for fantasy purposes. If he gets traded, he's still a great tight end, but it's not going to be the Patriots. So.
No, definitely not. Definitely not this kind of caliber.
He's going to be drafted, but his draft stock's definitely going to lower, I think.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Odell Beckham being traded by the Giants. Talking about another trade.
I would say it's less likely than Gronk being traded. Which one would you think is more likely out of those two?
Gronk, just because Odell's asking price is going to be crazy. For some teams, it might make sense because Odell's. He's obviously younger than Gronk. He's healthier than Gronk.
This isn't.
This
isn't an old veteran wide receiver. Just
No, this is a superstar in his prime.
Yeah.
Born and bred to play the position kind of player.
So in my mind, there's no fault in the Giants saying that they're not really shopping him, but if they were, this is what they would want from him. I don't fault the Giants in doing that. Maybe it's kind of a game that they're playing because he is trying to negotiate a bigger contract and it's a business, and that might be a tactic like saying, okay, you're trying to negotiate a bigger contract. We're saying that we're not really willing to trade you, but we will listen to offers, and that might just kind of play into it. But at the end of the day, I think the Giants are going to do what it takes to keep him because he's a superstar.
Yeah, it's weird that they're even talking about it because all the trades they've made, like going and getting Nate Soldier, going and getting Jonathan Stewart, possibly taking Saquon instead of a quarterback. It's like they want to win now.
Yeah.
If you get rid of Odell, I promise you're not winning now. I promise you.
Yeah.
That's your only superstar talent on your entire team, really. You got some decent defensive players, but Odell is Odell. Odell is Odell.
Nothing like Beckham. So I would put way less weight on that. It is like the Gronk situation is something we're going to be monitoring for possibly multiple months, which is going to be agonizing for fantasy.
Gives us something to talk about, though.
Yeah.
All right, Dez Bryant, last rumor, Dez Bryant possibly to be released after the NFL draft.
I would say that is I would say out of these three facts, that one's the most likely.
I agree. They've been talking about that since the end of the season. So
and you say what you will about Dez, a lot of people still think he has a lot of talent left. I think me and Brandon are both on the same page that we don't think he's very good anymore.
He's a shell of himself.
Yeah, so, I mean, if he is released, it'll make waves and someone will sign him quickly. He won't be unemployed for very long because he still has the name value. But I think what he does for the locker room dynamics and just how that team operates, I just don't think they need him on their team.
Yeah, and they just went out and got Allen Hurns and Deontay Thompson, so they're kind of rebuilding the wide receiver core.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think this Dez Bryant thing is kind of what we saw Andre Johnson go through, his maybe last year with the Texans, and then he went to the Colts and then the Titans.
It's drafting him in fantasy.
It's the same steep fall off.
Yeah.
But with Dez, it's 8 years earlier than what Andre Johnson went through.
Yeah, and I think that's why people.
And they're the same kind of style of receiver. That's just went to my mind.
True. I think that's why people still are hesitant to let go of him, to say, okay, he's really just not that good anymore. But for fantasy, that's a risk that I'm just not willing to take.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
He's still being overdrafted, in my opinion, just based on namesake.
Not touching him.
If he goes to another team, it's not going to excite me.
No.
I just... who do you think would... who would take Dez's spot on that team? I mean...
Take his spot?
Yeah. I mean, Allen Hurns isn't that type of player.
No, neither is Deontay Thompson. I think they're going to look in the draft and maybe possibly get Bryce Butler back. I'm hoping they can do that, but he's been shopping other teams at the moment, so we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Which leads us into our next category, wide receivers.
Yes. Speaking of
teams that need wide receivers, like we just said, Cowboys. A couple of other teams that I think need wide receivers. The Panthers. I think the Panthers, they got rid of Kelvin Benjamin last year. They're going to need some support for Devin Funchess and Clan. The Ravens are always looking for wide receivers.
Always.
They're perpetually...
They get them, they just can't get them to stick.
Yeah, they are perpetually looking for wide receivers. The only other team that... so we were talking about this a little bit before the podcast, and we think every team is going... they need depth at the wide receiver position. You can find some jewels late in the draft, but we're really talking about the teams that really need a wide receiver that can come in and possibly fill a role in 2018-2019 season.
Yeah, and Jets, you could put them on the list. Colts, they have Dante Moncrief's gone. T.Y. Hilton's the only one there.
Yeah.
They're definitely going to be looking for a receiver. 49ers, they want to give Jimmy Garoppolo enough weapons as he needs.
Yeah, that's true.
The Bears, maybe, still. I know they got Allen Robinson, so that fixes a little bit, but I still think they're going to be looking for wide receivers as well. And, I mean, you could go down the list, like we said. Yeah. Most teams are looking for wide receivers, but, if you're looking for teams drafting to find, a third receiver, a fourth receiver, or even fifth receiver, I mean, you could say Redskins, Dolphins, Packers, Patriots,
it's not
Falcons, Jaguars.
It's not like running back or quarterback when only one of those, running backs, maybe two, are on this field at the same time. Wide receivers, you can have up to 4 or 5, maybe.
Yeah.
On the field at the same time, so you have to have depth at that position.
Well, I mean, just the Packers are a perfect example of they at some point in the past couple of 5 years. Couple of fives. I'm getting ahead of myself. They've kept 8 receivers on their roster, and that's just unprecedented in most situations. But
that's.
Yeah. Anyway, you want to kick off the wide receiver top 10?
Yeah, we are talking about the wide receiver top 10 draft prospects for the 2018 NFL Draft. And if you haven't, go back and listen to our other episodes on quarterbacks, running backs, and who else did we do?
That's it so far.
Oh, okay.
That's it. Now we are here.
Yeah,
we are here.
And now you can listen to wide receivers.
Exactly.
But quarterbacks and running backs, those are good episodes. You can go back and look at those. Some possible fantasy relevant players coming out of the draft this year. But topping off the list, number 1, Calvin Ridley from Alabama.
Roll Tide, baby.
Yeah. Somehow I did not put him number 1, but he ended up on the number 1 in consensus.
He got the coin flip between him and our number 2 guy, which we'll get there in a second. But
yeah. I mean, and honestly, between these top two guys, a lot of times it is a coin flip because both of them, I think, can be great NFL wide receivers, and I'm really excited to see where they land and if they go to a team, one of these wide receiver needy teams that we just talked about. I feel like that they can make a real fantasy impact in 2018.
Yeah, and I will say before we go into all these wide receivers, fit for wide receivers is probably the most important thing for any player.
Yeah.
Like quarterbacks, they can they control the field. They can even with not the best fit, they can maybe work things out. Same with running backs, but wide receivers, it's just if you get drafted by a team that doesn't really need you at that position. And they want you to be like a third or fourth guy, you're not going to get that much playing time. You're not going to be that fantasy relevant guy that we're looking to draft. So, anyway, back to Calvin Ridley.
No, absolutely. So Calvin Ridley from the University of Alabama. He is 6 feet tall, weight 189. His 40 time was 4.43, which was fast.
Which was fast.
But he didn't have a great overall combine. I mean, I don't know if...
Even the 40 time was a little bit disappointing for what people thought.
Yeah, I mean, he's known as a speedster, especially for being 6 foot tall. 4.43, I don't think is his best 40 time he could have produced. So go into the draft knowing that he may be a little bit faster than that, which could be a really good asset. But he's known for his great route running, his quickness, and he has really good hands, which I know Brandon loves.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, you love the sure-handed wide receivers.
Hey, if you can't catch, you can't play.
Yeah. Yeah, so what do you think are the key highlights for Calvin Ridley and what NFL teams are going to be looking for whenever they draft him?
Well, yeah, again, his game speed is so much more... or it stands out more than his combine speed, his 40 time. Just the quickness, it's more quickness than speed with Calvin Ridley. Kind of like Antonio Brown-esque. I'm not comparing him to Antonio Brown. Just we'll get to our pro comparison here in a minute. I'll give you that. He's not Antonio Brown, but incredible route running. If you can run routes, pretty much any route on the field, crisp and get separation and have good hands, you're going to make a living in this league. So, I mean, that's a great plus for Calvin Ridley. He didn't really fill the stat sheet with or at his time at Alabama due to just having mediocre passers and having a heavy dose of the run in Nick Saban's offense.
And a heavy dose of defense.
Yes, heavy dose of defense. So they didn't really need to pass that much, and really, like, his best quarterback in terms of passing was Jake Coker 2 years ago, and that was his best statistical year. But I mean, no, would anyone know who Jake Coker was if half the people don't even know who he is now? I couldn't tell you where he is.
I had to think for a second until I remembered, but no, it's not a name that I could just fabricate out of thin air.
I mean, if Calvin Ridley would have had this new freshman Tagovailoa the entire year instead of one half of a national championship game, Calvin Ridley probably would have been a lot more stat heavy. Mm-hmm. But I don't. There's so much to love about Calvin Ridley. Just the route running is enough to put him at the top alone, and then you just add how quick he is and his run after catch, all that. The only thing I can really see him working on is he needs to work on high pointing the ball a little bit better. He's got good sideline awareness, but it seems like when he has to fight through contact, he can lose sight of the ball a little too easily, and it could lead to problems, especially in the NFL. But other than that, all things are very, very good for Calvin Ridley.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Who do you have him compared to? Pro comparison.
The pro comparison, I'll just go ahead and say pro comparisons for wide receivers were kind of difficult for me because there's a lot of players that I think about. Like when I think of certain skill sets, I think about this player and this player and this player, and a lot of those overlap so much that it's kind of hard to come up with a pro comparison.
Yeah.
But for Calvin Ridley, I think I'm going to settle on now this. Popular or not popular, I'm gonna settle on Amari Cooper. Hopefully not with the same. The only thing I think Calvin Ridley has much better hands than Amari Cooper, especially since with what we've seen. But both of them could be potential number ones in an offense. You can say whatever you want about Amari Cooper, but I still think the skill set is there to be a number one in an offense wherever he is.
Yeah, and Amari has problems high pointing the ball as well.
Yeah, exactly. Point. That contributes to a lot of the drop statistics that he has. But both of them are fast. Both of them are known for really good route running. And Amari Cooper in the 2015 draft went 4th overall. I still think that Calvin Ridley has a chance to go pretty high in this draft. So as far as expectations and how I think they play, I think he's pretty similar to Amari Cooper.
Yeah, I got him compared to Marvin Harrison.
You're going to old school.
Yeah, going old school.
I love Marvin Harrison.
Yeah, both 6 feet tall. Great route running, great hands, incredible sideline awareness. Marvin Harrison, really never known as the jump ball kind of guy, but he just knows how to get open. He knows how to make the catch. Just an all-around great receiver, and I think Calvin Ridley fits into that mold perfectly.
Yeah.
All right, so moving to our second wide receiver, Courtland Sutton.
He's my number one.
From SMU. Yep, that's where Brett had Courtland Sutton at number one. I had him too. But Courtland Sutton, 6'4", 218, 40 time of 4.54. So, pretty darn fast for a 6'4", 216 guy, or 218 guy. In 2017, caught 68 balls for 1,085 yards and 12 touchdowns.
I take it.
Yeah, again, you have to take a lot of these receivers with a grain of salt in terms of like stats and things like that, because obviously every single person on this list is going to have stats better than Calvin Ridley. Yeah. But Calvin Ridley is our number one for all these other different reasons. It's just you have to look at the whole picture.
Yeah.
The thing about Courtland Sutton, he's not the guy who's going to really burn you down the field in many occasions, but he is a red zone monster. Yeah. Absolute monster.
And that comes with being 6'4" and 218.
Exactly. So, what do you think about Courtland Sutton?
Yeah, I made a point to mention that I had him at number one and Calvin Ridley at number two, but honestly, I like both of these guys a lot.
Well, sell me on them. Sell me on Courtland Sutton.
Courtland Sutton, okay, I'm going to go ahead and go into my pro comparison, which isn't going to be popular again right now, but I'm going to go Des Bryant. Both big people, physical. Well, another thing we'll see about Sutton is he's not quite as physical as I think he should be at this point, but I think that's something that's going to come in his development into the NFL, and I think that's going to be a huge turning point for him. But for Des, but as a comparison to Des, they're big, they're not going to burn you down the field. But when it comes to jumping up and making a physical catch over a cornerback or a safety, they're going to come down with the ball. Like, you can throw it up and they can catch it. And I think that, when we talk about, transferring skills from the NCAA to the NFL, I think that that's one of the skills that if you possess in the NCAA, it's going to translate well to the NFL, because he's still going to be 6'4", and cornerbacks are still going to be shorter than him. And I think that, all of this time that he spent, catching all these touchdown passes in college, I think that's going to really help him, overcome kind of the obstacles of playing against these elite cornerbacks and elite safeties that he's not used to seeing in college. But, the downside is he doesn't really play to his height and size as much as I would like. But at the same time, I don't think Des started out that way either. I think that was something that developed over time. He got more physical. He realized that, okay, I'm bigger than most people. If I can just use my size and not rely on trying to juke people out or burning them downfield, because that's not what I'm meant to do. He just harnessed what he was good at, and he really focused on the skills that went along with that. So I think that that's kind of the path that Courtland Sutton is going to go on. He's not the fastest guy in the world, but he's big, he's physical. If a quarterback makes a good connection with him in the end zone, it's going to be a beautiful thing for fantasy.
Yeah, very, very, very true. And that's all Des Bryant's been for the past couple of years. He's just a red zone monster. I think he's top 5 in the league in touchdowns in the past, or receiving touchdowns in the past 5 years. So if that's all Courtland Sutton can be the red zone monster. Teams want touchdowns. They don't want to settle for field goals. They're not going to go out and sign some kicker over a 6'4" receiver who can do this. But the thing that really stood out to me on film with Courtland Sutton is his body control, which is I got him compared to Alshon Jeffrey, which they're both big guys, not really burners, again like Des Bryant. Yeah. But yeah, the body control, especially on the sidelines, just adjusting to passes, and to be able to do that with his size that's just incredible to watch. I think Courtland Sutton, again, he could easily. He's still not quite to my number one. He's still my number two guy, but I think Courtland Sutton, especially out of all the big wide receivers in this draft, he's the guy. He is the guy.
Yeah, if you're an NFL team looking to draft, that big guy like the Cowboys might do to replace Des Bryant, I don't think that's a bad pick.
Yeah, and eventually we'll get into we'll start doing our mock drafts closer towards the draft, and we'll probably
don't be surprised if I pick him going there.
Yeah, we'll get some guys going there. But yeah, so moving on.
Yeah, coming in at number 3. Did we agree on this one, or is this one that was just wild?
I think it was
pretty close.
I think I had him at 3, and you had him at 4 or 5.
Oh, okay, so pretty close. We're talking about DJ Moore from Maryland. 6 foot, 210 wide receiver. He ran a 40 time of 4.42, which is strong. Which I think that was about where he was expected to go. Maybe even a little quicker than the tape that I saw. I didn't think he was quite 4.40 material, but that showed that he's in pretty good shape going into the draft. In 2017, he had 80 receptions for 1,033 yards and 8 touchdowns. I like how it just made me laugh. I like how you put built like a running back, because even when he catches the ball and runs, I feel like he's a running back that just broke loose and running downfield. He has that feel.
His run after catch is incredible. Incredible.
Yeah, and
it's not even because him and Calvin Ridley are almost identical measurable wise,
but they look completely different.
Calvin Ridley makes you miss. DJ Moore will he's just a physical, strong guy, and he's quick.
Yeah.
Which is his route running could be a little bit better. He could maybe work on his hands a little more, just football IQ in general. Yeah. But the strong physicality and quickness, DJ Moore is shooting up draft boards at the moment, and a lot of people are even some analysts are even putting him at number 1 on their list.
I did see that a couple of times, and I was like, "Whoa,
little rich for my blood." But
I mean, 210's pretty hefty for a wide receiver. I mean, he's the same height as Calvin Ridley.
Hefty for a 6 foot wide receiver.
Yeah. Calvin Ridley's 189 and DJ Moore is 210. That's 21 pounds difference.
But they ran the same 40 no,
I know.
Moore ran what a tenth of a second faster.
Yeah, I know. How does it? I don't know. It was really weird to see him run. I don't know what it is about him, and maybe it is just because I feel like I'm watching a running back run, and that's why it looks different.
I mean, I don't care how he does it. It's working. After watching tape, because I think I've watched more DJ Moore tape over the past week than any of these players, and I am really, really falling in love with this guy.
Yeah.
He is showing some stuff. I don't know what team will make that jump and possibly take him in even the first round, because I think we have Ridley. He's definitely going to go in the first. Courtland Sutton, maybe the first. Probably looking at a day 2 kind of guy. DJ Moore is the other name that I've heard pop up in the first round, though. But anyway, I got him compared to Golden Tate. Golden Tate, that strong, physical guy. He's quick, not really that fast, that get-going, fast kind of speed. It's just quickness and physicality. The run after the catch is just incredible to watch. Golden Tate's the king of that, and I think DJ Moore fits into that mold absolutely perfectly.
Yeah, that was a name that I tossed around a little bit. But for the sake of being different, I will go with Stephon Diggs. I think that Stephon Diggs is a little bit smaller. I think he's more around the 190, 195 weight range. But, he's another wide receiver that's known for his running after the catch. Not quite as perfected as Golden Tate has done it over the years. But they're both strong. Stephon Diggs is really quick. He can get down the field. He's quick, but not like a. What's another wide receiver to compare? What's another quick wide receiver that's not like Stephon Diggs or DJ Moore?
I don't know what you're asking.
No, it's
Golden Tate. I don't know what you're asking.
Like Antonio Brown. Like, he's really quick.
Okay.
But they're not the same type of player.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. So I feel like DJ Moore is more like the Stephon Diggs type role rather than the Antonio Brown role. But I can definitely see the comparison to Golden Tate because, he has perfected the run after the catch over the years.
This is the draft of either a slot guy or a monster. Like there's no in between here. But
it's like all the monster guys just remind me of. Well, shoot, I lost it again.
Well, you can think about it after we move on to our number 4 guy. Another guy built like a running back. Kelvin Benjamin.
Yeah, all these big guys just remind me of Kelvin Benjamin.
Yeah, just monsters, chunksters, just chunky, tall guys. But anyway, another guy at number 4, built like a running back, just like DJ Moore.
Yep.
James Washington, probably even more so built like a running back than DJ Moore. But James Washington, Oklahoma State, comes in at 5'10", 210 pounds, so shorter, stockier, ran a 4.54, which that's impressive for his size.
Yeah.
In 2017, he was the go-to guy for Mason Rudolph in that Oklahoma State offense. 74 catches, 1,500 yards, and 13 touchdowns. He had a remarkable 2017 year. The weird thing about James Washington is he's a deep ball guy. He's a short, stocky guy built like a running back, but he is known as the deep ball threat.
It's very strange.
He's like, it's bizarre. It's like he's kind of like John Brown-esque in the way he plays, but I don't know, just the way he's built is so different than that. So like my pro comparison, I was just like, he's Ty Montgomery mixed with John Brown. It's the big play.
We're combining people now. We're building wide receivers.
We are building wide receivers. If I had to pick one, I guess honestly, I'd pick maybe Stephon Diggs. That's kind of like a hybrid of the two.
Yeah.
Obviously, Stephon Diggs a little bit taller than James Washington, a little bit leaner than James Washington, but James Washington, man, before I really dove into all this, James Washington was he was my guy. I had him at number 2 behind Calvin Ridley there for a while. Just the thing I love about James Washington, I've never seen someone track a ball like he can in the air. It's remarkable to watch. And I always say about like there's some intangibles that are just instincts that receivers have, and it's almost like boxing people out and changing speeds to put yourself in position to make a catch where the defender can't catch. Or can't make a play on the ball. And it's not even that like your quarterback's making that great of throws. It's just you are positioning yourself to make the catch. And that's something that's very, very hard to teach. It's hard to get in people's heads when they're playing the wide receiver position. But James Washington, man, he's checking a lot of boxes. And just like DJ Moore, he's moving up a lot of rankings.
Yeah. I actually had him. You already mentioned him. I already had him ranked, not ranked, compared to Ty Montgomery, just because he is built like a running back, and as we've seen, Ty Montgomery can play a little bit of running back. So
he is a running back now.
Yeah, and I don't think James Washington is going to follow that same path. He's going to transfer over to a running back. I think he's got a lot of other skills that make him unique to the wide receiver position, and that he can be a truly valuable asset as a wide receiver on an NFL team. But as far as his size and skill set, I think he is kind of similar to Ty Montgomery, but I don't think he'll be making the transition to running back.
Yeah, agree.
Number 5, we've got Captain Kirk. Christian Kirk from Texas A&M. Brandon actually ranked him at number 3, and I had him at number 7. So I'll go through his measurables, and then you can convince me why he should be number 3. He is 5'10", 201, 40 time of 4.46. And so what kind of stands out to you is why you ranked him pretty high in this year's draft as in comparison to all these other wide receivers?
Well, it was really, really close between a lot of these guys, between DJ Moore, James Washington, and Christian Kirk, because they're all very, very similar players. So I think Christian Kirk just not just playing in the SEC, because I know I always say that helps because you're playing defenses that are just like clearly Christian Kirk is playing defenses that are a lot better than James Washington is playing, and that it does help in especially learning the game. But
it sounds kind of arrogant, and people hate that excuse, but it's just true.
It holds weight. It holds weight.
You are literally playing harder defenses. I mean, it's like playing on hard mode in a video game. I mean, it's just more difficult.
And I'm not saying every SEC wide receiver or player is going to end up like that, because it's talent, and then putting that talent, the superior talents in that atmosphere, it usually creates very, very special players. But yeah, Christian Kirk, I think he's the most NFL-ready wide receiver out of all these guys, other than Calvin Ridley. But yeah, Christian Kirk, he's smart, great competitor, fast with a quick first step. That I can't get enough of that, because he's not really the speedster guy. He's, again, quick, great first step, can really get off the ball extremely fast. He's strong. I don't really put him as strong as DJ Moore, because I think DJ Moore is really he's got some sneaky strength as well. But he's the only problem with Christian Kirk and these other guys that are the shorter receivers. They're small, and they have very, very below average catch radiuses, which I think it's okay with James Washington, because he's the deep ball guy who can, again, the ball tracking can make up for that. But Christian Kirk has shown some trouble here and there with just catching balls in areas that are not really catchable, if that makes any sense. Like in tight windows, like if a quarterback makes just a slightly bad throw, he might have an issue with it. But Christian Kirk, I love the strength that he has. I love the competitiveness. I love his smarts, his football IQ, and sideline awareness. That I really, really like. I saw multiple plays on his tape that stood out to me where the sideline awareness came into play.
Yeah.
So I got him compared to Randall Cobb. Randall Cobb, again, quick first step, really not that fast with the ball in his hand and out in open space. He can make people miss, but he's more of the strength guy, slot receiver, good hands, good awareness, great football IQ, knows how to play the game, and he's a competitor. So I think Christian Kirk and Randall Cobb fall in the same boat.
Yeah, I like that comparison. I had him compared to Sterling Shepard, two guys that have played in the slot. Sterling Shepard has played in the slot. He's also 5'10", 194, so pretty similar in build. But they both have the speed to challenge defenses on any given play. They both have the big playability thanks to their speed and being elusive. But I think the biggest thing for me, I've had him ranked far lower than you. But,
clearly.
He's going to be perpetually a slot receiver, just based on his size and what he can do. He's going to be a slot receiver no matter what. And, if we're ranking based on pure skill, I probably would have ranked him a little bit higher. But if we're ranking based on, what we think as far as fantasy production, there's not a whole lot of slot receivers that you can rely on for fantasy production.
Yeah.
So I think that factored into it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of teams, it's hard to find slot receivers that really are.
Sterling Shepard has been good for years.
You really don't see up until the past couple of years, slot receivers really weren't used that much. Like Larry Fitzgerald was the only guy. Golden Tate was pretty much the only guy. But now you're seeing guys like even Cole Beasley and Julian Edelman, Randall Cobb, all these other guys that are stepping up into slot roles and really impressing. So that's why I think there's so many of these like shorter guys that are getting so much hype because the slot position is becoming so much more used in the past couple years.
Yeah, and that could be a tilt of the NFL, just kind of change of culture. How we've changed from the pound and ground running backs to all these pass catching running backs.
Yeah, and these are basically
pass catching running backs.
Yeah. Essentially, you give me a player that's 5'10", 210, then that's built like a running back.
We're just going to be putting running backs in slot positions eventually.
I mean, Le'Veon Bell has done that many a time. So.
Very true.
All right, we're going a little slow, so we'll try to pick these last few up.
Okay.
Number 6 on our list, Marcel Aitman, another Oklahoma State wide receiver. This is the big guy for Oklahoma State. 6'4", 216, 40 time of 4.63, so that's one of the slower ones in this draft for wide receivers.
But he's big.
Yeah, but he's big. In 2017, 59 catches, 1,100 yards, and 8 touchdowns. It would have been a whole lot more if James Washington wasn't there. And I mean, you could say that just what if, vice versa. But Marcel Aitman was just basically the red zone weapon for Oklahoma State, and he did it very, very well. Incredible size that forces mismatches. Again, not really the burner down the field. He's more of the jump ball kind of guy. He didn't really perform that well at the Senior Bowl or the Combine. Again, I mentioned the 40 time. Wasn't very glamorous, but I think there's a lot to like about Marcel Aitman, which is why I have him so high. I can't remember exactly where you had him ranked, but
I don't think it was too far out.
Yeah, I think we both had him very, very similar. But anyway, Marcel Aitman, big guy. Courtland Sutton is obviously the number one big guy in this draft, but Marcel Aitman I don't think is far behind him. I think he can be a very, very good red zone target, and the thing that stands out to me about Aitman is his blocking. People overlook blocking a lot, especially for wide receivers. Wide receivers, I know, obviously you need a guy who can go out there and catch and pull defenders away as well, but the fact that you can have a wide receiver like that and still be a great blocker, blocking on the edge, I think that can be absolutely fabulous for the league in general, and teams would be more than willing to pay up to get a receiver like that.
Yeah.
Who'd you have him compared to?
This one was pretty tough for me because he's kind of big, but I'm just trying to think of what, besides his size, what kind of makes him stand out as a wide receiver. You mentioned a couple of things that you really like about him, but I had him actually compared to Kelvin Benjamin coming out of college. I think Kelvin unfortunately had the knee injury, so we haven't got to see as much as we would like to out of him. But I think they're both similar, obviously in size. Kelvin's not fast, but he's physical. Yeah. He'll go up and get it.
Great leaping ability.
Yeah,
and a pretty decent blocker.
And he's that was one of the things that they really liked about him was that he could block on the outside, which has been crucial for players like Christian McCaffrey and Jonathan Stewart and all those. So I think that was the best comparison that I could think of, especially in recent years. Who did you have him compared to?
I had him compared to Brandon Marshall, but I think I'm going to switch Brandon Marshall to a different player. So I'll just stick.
Yeah, I don't know if Brandon Marshall's really known. Is he known for his blocking ability as much?
No, definitely not. But his receiving ability is right there with what Aitman can do. But again, I'm going to shift Brandon Marshall to a different player down our list. I'll
that was a tease.
Yeah, I'll concede Kelvin Benjamin to you. But anyway, who's number 7 on our list?
Michael Gallup from Colorado State. All he does is gallop. He is 6 foot tall, 198, so it's good size for an NFL wide receiver. His 40 time was 4.51, which isn't quite galloping, but it's
it's a trot.
It's more than a steady trot.
It's not quite a gallop, but it's a trot.
No, I mean there's players on this list that they're galloping, like DJ Moore. He's galloping.
He got some get up and go speed.
Oh, yeah. But anyways, 2017, he had 100 receptions for 1,413 yards. That's a lot of yards.
100 receptions in college. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That is a lot.
7 touchdowns, so not huge on the touchdown number, but he had a ton of yards. He was obviously hyper-targeted if he's got 100 receptions. He's one of the more well-rounded players, I thought, in this draft. And there's a lot of players that we've already talked about that have really strong characteristics that really stand out to us. But Michael Gallup, he's one that I could look at and say he does everything pretty well. He's not lacking in a whole lot of things. He's just kind of, he doesn't stand out in a whole lot of things either, and that's kind of the flip side, and that's why we have him ranked at number 7 and not number 3 or 4. So is there anything that really stood out to you, or was it kind of like me and it's just like, he does a lot of things pretty well?
I mean, you're right. You're pretty right. I mean, he's got really good leaping ability, which he's same height and weight as Calvin Ridley. Obviously slower, not quite the route runner and talent that Calvin Ridley is, but he's got the leaping ability that Calvin Ridley hasn't really shown. So there's a plus there if that was one thing to highlight. Focus might be an issue with Michael Gallup. It seems like he quits some plays every now and then. Maybe doesn't focus on, like, if a quarterback's scrambling, doesn't really finish his routes completely, which that's a big issue in today's NFL. You got guys like Aaron Rodgers and Carson Wentz or Russell Wilson who are extending plays for up to 10 seconds, and if you're not focused and running your routes completely, you are not going to succeed, and you're not going to get a lot of brownie points for those quarterbacks.
No.
But I have Michael Gallup compared to another Michael Crabtree.
Oh, dang it. That was mine.
Yeah. Well, okay, you had Kelvin a second ago. I'm taking Michael Crabtree.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, Michael.
I honestly think that's a fantastic.
No, they're not really
comparison.
they're not that exciting.
No.
They do everything very, very well.
Yeah.
They have good jumping ability.
That was perfect.
It was absolutely perfect. I think that's our best comparison of the day so far.
Yeah, I mean, there's no one. I don't even have another one listed like I could come up with. I was like, when I look at him, I think of Michael Crabtree.
Yeah.
And it's just, ironic that they have the same first name.
Yeah, perfect. All right, number 8 on our list, Auden Tate from FSU. You finally got your player on here.
Yep, my favorite.
Yeah, Auden Tate, FSU, 6'5", 228, ran a 4.68 40. The 40 time, who cares? This guy is a beast of a player, an absolute beast, just enormous red zone threat. Just take these numbers into account. 40 catches, that's hardly any.
Yeah.
That's basically.
Just compare. Michael Gallup had 100.
Yeah, exactly. Only 500 yards.
Yeah.
But 10 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And that's with a backup quarterback. We saw FSU's...
the whole team struggled. Yes.
Yeah. Francois, is that his name? DeAndre Francois. Yeah. He went out in the first game of the season, and it was
Georgia.
But then Auden Tate still goes out and scores 10 touchdowns. He is just a red zone monster. Just a magnet for catching balls in the end zone. Again, ran slow at the combine, but... It's just the jump ball receiver. He's not going to stretch the ball down the field. He's not going to be that burn or anything down the sideline. He's just going to go up, and he's going to take the ball from defenders.
Yep.
Just absolutely take it from them. And this is where Brandon Marshall's going.
Oh,
Brandon Marshall
that's a good one.
and Auden Tate. I think Brandon Marshall's a little bit quicker than Auden Tate. And maybe Auden Tate can slim down a little. I usually don't like players... slimming down if they play that kind of ball.
Yeah.
But I guess him and Kelvin Benjamin, I guess we could bring him back up again. But they're very, very, very similar players. Both FSU guys. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, Auden Tate, he's going to be a red zone monster for somebody. I fully expect him to get a lot of play in the NFL this year, actually.
Yeah. And actually, I know this is against regulations, but I'm going to double dip. I had him compared to Kelvin Benjamin.
Well, there you go.
I mean, they're both 6'5", and how many 6'5" wide receivers are there in the NFL?
Not that many.
That are premier, that you want to talk about. Benjamin's, he's which really surprised me when I was looking up comparison facts. He's 236 pounds.
He's a big old boy.
I mean, he's
a big old boy.
Astronomical. And Auden Tate, he may get to that point. I mean,
they're like tight ends, except they're playing wide receivers.
They're exactly like tight ends, but they can still, stretch the field.
Yeah,
it's wild. But no, there's a lot of comparisons to Auden Tate and Kelvin Benjamin. Besides them playing at the same college, besides them being the same general size, they're not fast. But they're physical, and they're going to jump up, and they're going to get the ball, and that's what they're good at. And I think that's exactly what Auden Tate's going to be good at in the NFL.
Yep.
Number 9.
Good luck.
Yeah. We were discussing who was going to
get to say his name.
Who was going to end up with this one. Equestrian St. Brown.
He's not a horse. He's not a horse. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna try it. That was your try. That was awful. Equanimous St. Brown. We're just gonna call him St. Brown.
Okay.
E St. Brown or something like that.
We gotta come.
Just St. Brown.
We gotta come up with a cooler name.
Cool name.
We'll for now, we'll say St. Brown.
Yeah.
St. Brown from Notre Dame, which makes sense. Saint.
Keep going, please.
We've butchered Equanimous.
That was good.
It's because I said it fast.
You just gotta say it fast. No one's gonna catch it.
Yeah. Another huge guy, 6'5", 214. Not quite as big as Auden Tate, but still 6'5". But he runs a 4.48.40, which is incredible. I had him ranked way lower than Brandon. Brandon had him ranked at 9. I had him 10 spots lower at 19.
This is my guy. This is my guy for this draft. This is my guy.
All right, I like it. And that's fine.
And it's not just the name. It's not just the name.
Well, okay. Well, I was gonna blame you for that, but I guess I'll back off. But he's big. He has incredible speed, athletic. He's a great route runner. I mean, there's a lot of things I like about him. What kind of speaks to you is, why he's your guy in this draft?
Well, I mean, you hit on a bunch of points already, but yeah, his speed and his size alone, that you don't find that much. You can't find a 6'5" guy that runs a 4.48.40 very often. Great body control and hands. I nodded to those just a little while ago. Love that in a receiver. The body control and hands, and the route running. If it wasn't for Calvin Ridley, this guy would be the best route runner in this draft, without question. No doubt in my mind. Again, kind of like Calvin Ridley, stat sheet does not speak to what Brown can do. Notre Dame's QB situation has been horrendous during Brown's time there. So that's kind of hampered his stat sheet and possibly hampered his draft stock. But yeah, I think St. Brown has a ton of potential in this league, and I think a lot of teams are going to look at him maybe even before a lot of these other guys that we're mentioning. If they're just looking for the speedster kind of guy, if they're looking for the route runner, but man, St. Brown, I think this is where I think he's going to be, crossing my fingers, a Martavis Bryant that doesn't get into trouble. So that's my comparison. Martavis Bryant, he's a tall guy, rough. I mean, he's basically the size of St. Brown, and then just blazing speed. Just tear the top off of a defense speed. And I think I'm not going to try it. St. Brown. E. St. Brown. I think he can be Martavis Bryant and so much more. I think he's got, again, the body control. I think he's got better hands than Martavis Bryant. The route running is definitely better than Martavis Bryant. Yeah. Because Martavis Bryant has one route basically, and that, I mean, it's just run straight and catch the ball. But I mean that's
funny because it's so true.
Yeah, but St. Brown is I think he can do so much more, and it's going to be exciting to watch this year. That is my guy this year.
Yeah, and the only I have him ranked way lower, which in hindsight probably wouldn't rank him that low. But the only thing that you touched on a little bit is he did play at Notre Dame, but in 2016 he only had 58 receptions. Well, 58 receptions, that's a lot. But, still less than 1,000 yards. But in 2017, he only had 33 receptions. We haven't seen a whole lot. So all of it, I think that it could be like the quintessential late-round gem that NFL teams are looking for. I have him compared to, actually, Julio Jones.
What the hell?
Not quite as tall. Julio Jones is not quite as tall as St. Brown.
That's a compare. Good Lord.
But both of them are quick, and both of them can take the top off a defense, and both of them should be end zone targets. Now, we haven't seen that from Julio Jones, possibly because of coaching decisions, but I think they both they should serve that end zone role.
If you have him compared to Julio Jones, he needs to be a lot higher than 19 on your list.
It's a comparison of skill set. I'm not saying he is Julio Jones. I mean, I could compare someone to Antonio Brown. They're not gonna turn out to be Antonio Brown.
I guess. But anyway.
I'm not saying they're going to turn into these players. I'm saying they have similar skill sets.
Similar skills. Okay, yeah. Again, we're piecing together 5 receivers to create one.
Exactly.
But anyway, number 10, rounding out our top 10 list for wide receivers.
Another DJ.
Yeah, another DJ. DJ Chark from LSU. I had him ranked at 8. You had him ranked at 21. So very different on those. If you haven't figured out already, we were very, very different in terms of rankings for wide receivers. But DJ Chark, 6'2", 199, ran a 4.34 40. What? No one saw that coming. No one saw that coming. He's not really. A lot of people say he's a little small, a little lean, but that's just he's 6'2", 199. He's a little taller than Calvin Ridley and about a few pounds heavier, so I don't really see that too much. Poor QB play really hampered Chark's ability to show off his talent at LSU, but he's got good size, superb quickness, and obviously the speed's there. We saw that at the Combine. I got to compare to Will Fuller. I think Will Fuller has really stepped up in the Texans offense. Obviously, Deshaun Watson's helped with that as well, but he's just a speedster to complement DeAndre Hopkins, and I think DJ Chark can really do that with a team somewhere.
Yeah. I definitely had him ranked a little bit lower. The biggest thing that I saw from watching him is I didn't think that his route running ability was quite up to par with what I think these other wide receivers have been. He had some drop issues, which you alluded to, that he may be hampered by poor QB play, which definitely could play a big part in it. But he did have quite a few drops that was kind of a red flag for me. I have him compared to Torrey Smith. Both speedy. 4.34 is incredible. But they can both couple that with the ability to get vertical when they need to and come down with the ball. And Torrey Smith was a second-round pick in the NFL draft, and possibly, if he truly is the number 10 wide receiver, could go in the second round in this draft.
Yeah, possibly, and that speed is definitely going to increase his draft stock coming up.
That 40 time is that's going to turn a lot of heads in the NFL. So we are finished with our top 10 list. That is our 1 through 10 in terms of wide receivers in the NFL draft in 2018. Some honorable mentions that didn't quite make the top 10, but we felt like we should mention to keep an eye out on: Traquan Smith, Anthony Miller, Deontay Burnett, Jaleel Scott, Deion Kane, and Dante Pettis. And I'll just have to say, Deshaun Hamilton. Could be related, maybe not. I don't know.
Could be, possibly.
It's up for debate. Any of those guys you really want to mention that kind of late round guys that?
Anthony Miller, I'm starting to hear a lot of hype on him out of Memphis. He's really shown that he can be, I'd say probably like a solid 3 or 4 guy on a team. Good route running, pretty good hands. I don't have him quite in my top 10. I like these other guys just for other reasons, size, speed, whatever it might be. But Anthony Miller is a good name to possibly highlight And then Simi Cobbs. I love his size. Again, it's either big receivers or slot guys this year. And Simi Cobbs, I think.
No in between.
Yeah, Simi Cobbs could be a guy kind of like Auden Tate. Just that big guy, red zone threat, just huge all around. So yeah, that I guess those are the only ones I really want to highlight from the honorable mentions. Who do you have as like maybe your favorite late round wide receiver in this draft?
Well, see, this was kind of weird because my favorite late round wide receiver was DJ Chark, who incidentally made the top 10 list.
Well, I mean that could vary. I still think probably our 5 through 10 guys are probably going to go in the 3rd or 4th round, maybe even 5 or 6.
Okay, and that can still be considered late round. I just thought he would be a little bit later rounded, but if NFL teams think more along the lines of you and rank him at number 8, then he may be an early round guy.
Yeah.
But if he slips into the late round, I think he could easily be a gem for any NFL wide receiver, any NFL team looking for a wide receiver. I mean, we talked about his quickness, the 4.34 40 time. He's a great size, like 6'2", 199 for an NFL wide receiver. He has a lot of great qualities. He struggles with the route running and some drops that could be attributed to the QB play at LSU. But I think he has a ton of potential, and if a team drafts him and can develop him in the way that he should be, I think he can go really far and way outperform his draft stock.
Yeah. My guy, again, I mentioned Anthony Miller and Simi Cobbs, but I'm going to go with, again, going back to the SEC, Javon Wims from Georgia. Javon Wims, I really, really liked what I saw, especially in the national championship game. He kind of took a back seat in a lot of that game, but he was getting open. And he even made a few plays. But Javon Wims, I think he was clearly the number one guy at Georgia, and Bama really focused on taking him away in the national championship, and he still made some pretty darn good routes. Again, he wasn't really thrown to that much in that game, but to be able to get separation against a defense like that is absolutely remarkable. So Javon Wims, I think, is a guy to keep an eye out for. Now, out of all these wide receivers we've mentioned, could be any of them, which one is going to make the biggest impact in fantasy in 2018?
This one was really hard. It's hard not to say Calvin Ridley because I really think that he can fit into any offense and be effective.
And that's the thing. Fit's going to be the main thing, and if he truly can fit into any offense, I agree. Calvin Ridley will probably be the guy.
But I'm gonna say It's tough because I have like 4 names written down. I'm gonna go with my number 1 overall, Courtland Sutton. I think that he's one of the best all around wide receivers in this draft that can fulfill that he can step into a number 1 wide receiver role. It's hard to do as a rookie, I understand that, but I think that he has all the skills, the right size, all the attributes that you're looking for in a number 1 wide receiver. He can do that in the 2018.
You think he leads all the rookies in touchdowns next year?
In touchdowns, I'd say yeah.
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 I mean,
touchdown. I wouldn't say yards.
Yeah.
I think Calvin Ridley is more of the yardage guy if we're gonna go. If we're gonna compare those, but I think touchdowns, absolutely.
Yeah. My guy. Again, Calvin Ridley, if it's the right fit, I agree, but you can't always predict that. So I'm just going to say the guy who I think will do it no matter where he is as well, Equanimous St. Brown.
Ooh, Equestrian St. Brown.
Again, not his name. That's an insult.
Oh, what do you want me to call him? The Hunchback of Notre Dame?
Yes, that'll be better. Mr. St. Brown. Mr. St. Brown to you. Okay. That is his name. You refer to him as Mr. St. Brown.
Mr.
St. Brown.
That's a lot of abbreviations.
So if he graduated from Notre Dame as a saint, would he be St. Brown?
I think he'd be St. Brown.
St. Brown Saint? I don't know that title.
St. Brown to the second power.
St. Brown. No.
St. Brown Squared.
St. Brown
Saint
Squared.
Brown.
That'd be incredible.
Saint Squared Brown.
We need to make shirts that's just St. Brown Squared.
Okay.
The
right,
Saint,
I like that.
the Saint of Notre Dame.
Saint Squared.
But anyway, St. Brown, I think his speed alone and his size, he's going to be kind of like Martavis Bryant was early on in his career. You're just going to run him down the field, and he's going to make big plays.
He can definitely do that.
But he can do so much more, and I hope other teams see that as well.
Yeah.
So St. Brown is my guy going into the year.
Yep.
Okay, so that is all for our wide receiver show.
I didn't think we were going to get through it.
No, we are running a little long, but here it is. We have the huge announcement.
Woo.
Finally, it's here.
Yes.
This is it.
Tune in. Turn up the volume.
Turn up the volume.
Hide your kids. Hide your wife or husband.
No, they need to hear this too. Bring them all out.
Not
I don't care where you are.
Not if they. Well, actually, yeah, this doesn't have to really do with fantasy.
You probably
everyone. You
want to take a seat if you're driving right now. Park the car because you're probably going to crash once we say this. Anyway, we're doing a giveaway.
A giveaway. Golly, I'm so surprised.
So this is what we're giving away. Actually, I'll tell you how to win our giveaway, and then I'll tell you at the end what we are giving away because it's
huge.
It's huge. It's huge. We will be tweeting out the official tweet later today that tells you all the rules and explains how we're going to do the giveaway. So basically, I'll explain it now, and then make sure you follow us on Twitter at the423football to get all this. So basically, to enter the giveaway, all you have to do is follow us on Twitter at the423football. So you have to make sure you're following us on Twitter at the423football. Not on Facebook. I mean, you can follow us and like us on Facebook. That's perfectly fine too. But to enter this contest, you have to be following on Twitter. Again, that's at the423football. And you have to retweet the giveaway tweet. So you'll clearly be able to see what tweet it is, where we're giving it away, everything. So you'll have to follow us and then retweet that tweet. So that's how you enter. And then once we get to 100 followers on Twitter, and once we get to 100 retweets on that tweet, we will pick one lucky listener to receive, drumroll, a Le'Veon Bell signed jersey.
Lev Bell? What?
Le'Veon Bell.
The premier running back in the NFL?
That's the one. That's the Le'Veon we're talking about.
He took a Sharpie and he signed this jersey?
Yes.
And we're just giving it away for free?
Yes.
We've got to be stupid.
We have to be. But we are. We are stupid and we're giving it away.
We're so dumb we're going to do it anyway.
When we got this jersey, I told myself I can't buy a Packer jersey because I'm not going to be able to give it away. I'm going to keep it. So Le'Veon Bell, that thing is a beauty. And it's probably the only non-Packer item that I have ever had step in my green room at our house.
That is very true, other than the jerseys that I've worn.
Yes, very true. But anyway, so just make sure to enter the giveaway. Again, you have to follow us on Twitter, and then you have to retweet the giveaway tweet. So we will be releasing that today. We'll give you all the information. And again, we have to get to 100 followers and 100 retweets, and we will give away the jersey after the NFL draft. So I think the week after the NFL draft, that's when we'll give it away. So even if we get to 100 retweets before then, we're not going to actually give it away until after that. So all you have to do to enter is, again, follow and retweet at the423football. We'll pick 100 once we get to the 100 followers and 100 retweets, we'll pick one random listener, and you get a Le'Veon Bell signed jersey. That's going to look great on your wall, especially if you're a Steelers fan. Even if you're not a Steelers fan, if you're just a fan of collectible items.
I would frame that.
Yeah, I would take that in a heartbeat.
Obviously a Buccaneers fan, no loyalty to the Steelers, but Le'Veon Bell, he's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, that's the huge announcement. Hopefully we'll do some more giveaways in the future.
Yeah.
But this is the one going on right now. Again, we'll post even more detailed rules if we're being confusing on here right now. But make sure, more important than anything, we're going to need followers, we're going to need listeners, we're going to need you to spread the word, share what we're doing right now, because we're going to be doing this year-round. If you haven't been listening for that long, we do this year-round.
Still here.
This is what we're doing. And once we get to 100 followers and 100 retweets, and to get to that, you're going to need to share. So please spread the word for us. Make sure you like us on Facebook as well as over on Twitter at the 423football. Again, I'm going to say that a million times, at the 423football. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, and YouTube. Give us a like, leave your comments and reviews. Don't forget to, again, spread the word. Thanks for listening. We are the 423 Football Podcast.
Peace.